Welcome back, everybody, to the Birdies and Bourbon Show. We're excited to have Pete on with us today. Pete's checking in from Michigan, and I think he was bragging about he's sitting, it's like, I don't know, in the mid-50s up there, Pete?
Yeah, 53 and raining right now.
Yeah,
cooled down a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're still well in the 90s with all the humidity you can handle here in Atlanta. So, Pete, so you're in, is it, do I say it right, Petoskey, Michigan?
Yes, Petoskey, Michigan, Walloon Lakes. The club is located on the north end of Walloon Lake in Petoskey, Michigan address.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been fortunate enough to play that yet, but boy, sure would love to one day. Absolutely. And as I understand, you've been there for quite some time, right? Since 1990?
Sure. 31 years, yeah.
31 years, man. Wow, that's
it goes by fast.
Yeah, that's a heck of a run there, man. Good for you. So you're coaching a couple of high schools, I believe, in town.
Well, I grew up in Harbor Springs, just on the other side of Little Traverse Bay from Petoskey, and I coach the boys in the spring and the girls in the fall.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
A lot of fun. I can leave the club late in the afternoons or evenings and go up to Boyne Highlands and Harbor Springs, and we also get help from Harbor Point and a lot of courses around Harbor Springs. They're real good to us.
Okay.
So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's your playing season up there? 5 months, 6 months? You get a little more.
Golf courses up here usually open May 1st, and they close around mid-October.
Okay, so you got another few more weeks coming in. Did this affect your season at all with the COVID and everything that happened?
Well, the first 3 weeks I was locked in the shop. I couldn't touch anyone's golf bag. They had to bring their own clubs. They had to use pull carts. But by the end of May, we were pretty much rolling with one person per cart. We were allowed to touch their bag again. We actually had, we're just bursting, records and equipment sales, clothing sales, my lessons, guest play, number of rounds. I'm fortunate to be in the golf business because it's one of the few things you could do. And
yeah.
I know a lot of people are suffering, but boy, we had a fantastic year, and we're still having a good year. A lot of the people that normally head back to Florida or Arizona or California are going to stay until Halloween, Thanksgiving, before they head back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I guess, would you see the courses staying open a little long? I mean, it's weather permitting, I would imagine, but weather permitting, you think you see people staying open a little longer just given the
they could.
Happening?
Sometimes up around here we do, but we always leave our pull carts out for our members. If it's a nice day, they can just go out and walk and help themselves kind of at that point.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, we let them play. We let them, if you're a member, you can play as long as you want walking-wise. We just don't keep the staff there much after mid-October.
Well, if they're members, they probably don't need much help, right? I mean, they just rather
know
show
their way
up
around,
yeah. Yeah, awesome. So I noticed, you want to give us, you want to drop a kind of a bio on yourself and share anything before we get into, we got some questions. They're all softballs, man. So.
I don't know. I think I'm kind of unique in that my grandfather was a pro. He used to go from Petoskey Bayview here, right on Little Traverse Bay, to Miami back in the 20s. And my dad was a head pro up here around this area at Walloon Lake. I was 3 pros after my dad, or the 4th pro after my dad. They had 3 guys for 2 years after my dad left. My 2 brothers were PGA pros. Like I said, my brother Mark is the director of instruction at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs and at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. And so I'm a 3rd generation pro. Mm-hmm. And like my brother started the golf program in Harbor Springs that I coach, and my dad coached it. Now I'm coaching it. So it's kind of a unique thing. I think my story is I'm a 3rd generation pro. I grew up picking the range, caddying, watching my dad give thousands of lessons before I ever gave one. So I don't play much tournament golf. I've enjoyed the pro-ams for quite a few years, but now I'm a very busy instructor, and as soon as I get done instructing all day, I head north, across the bay to Harbor Springs, and then I coach. So
yeah, so teaching was your thing.
If I'm in a driving range, helping somebody play golf, or even a playing lesson, I'm a happy camper. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. You've got so your dad was there, and did you say your granddad was at the club, or just your
My
dad?
grandfather was an assistant pro at Petoskey Bayview Country Club, which is just a few miles north on Little Traverse Bay, Lake Michigan.
Gotcha.
And back in the day, in the 20s, he would go down to Miami in the winters. And then he got my dad interested. My dad was the head pro at Harbor Point Golf Club in Harbor Springs when I grew up, and Walloon Lake. And so I kind of one side of the bay to the other. And
Sure.
then my brothers and myself, we worked all over all these courses around here. So, and I worked in Naples, Florida for a while as a golf instructor at Hole in the Wall Golf Club. It's the oldest private club in Naples. I loved it there as well.
So were you living down there?
Yeah, well, I lived in an apartment for free right below the pro shop, so I had a great start.
Okay, nice.
I'm old school, you know.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man.
That's perfect.
Yeah, for sure. So I took a look. I was doing a little research on you, and I know Dan's got some questions for you about some maybe some personal relationships you've developed at the course. But I know people could find you. You're pretty big on ProGolfNow.com.
I used to write for them. I wrote quite a few articles for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. But.
Okay. I saw a lot of stuff about chipping on there. Is that, I mean, if you had to say you have a specialty, is like, I'm sure you're teaching the whole game, but is chipping is that kind of your wheelhouse?
It could be. Back in the day when I was a young pro in Naples, Florida, Dave Pels was really big. And I really still use a lot of those concepts today. Ratio chipping and dead hands. And I started that around late 80s, 1980s, early 90s. I really took an interest in the chipping and pitching, short game wedges, distance wedges. So that might be my specialty. I like to think I pretty much all day long. It's what I love about it. I don't know if I'll teach an older gentleman in his 80s or a young high school girl golfer that's 15, the club champion, the junior club champion, or anyone just beginning the game at age 60. I like the whole challenge, every bit of it.
Yeah. And I saw also, it looked like you specialize would be not the right term to use, but I clicked on the link. So I found you, we connected over Instagram,
Yes.
Peter Kelbel. And it looked like the link that I was clicking to was directing me towards like a women's golf association kind of.
Well,
platform.
I wrote, womensgolf.com is like the #1 internet site for women's golf instruction. And I wrote a lot of articles, and I do a lot of pro analysis swings, especially in the past year or so for them, some on their instructional staff.
Gotcha.
Which is fun. They're based, Jane Filing and Richard Filing own that, and they're in Australia. So it's been kind of fun. At one point they had, would have people send me swings from anywhere in the world. Hey, here's my face on, here's my down the line. And that was a nice challenge too, to communicate with people from all over. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching your post on Instagram for sure. My golfing is I like to play, and as much as I play, I should be a lot better. So I'm looking at those and trying to apply that. So easier said than done, obviously, right? Everybody that's listening that's a golfer.
Oh, for sure. Most people probably have an outside in attack, and I'm big on the inside attack, and I like a little, icing on the cake, like width in the takeaway, a little depth, and before you can deliver that inside attack. But I try to really pound fundamentals in, and have had a lot of success doing that. So it's kind of my thing. Down the line and face on, and with teaching props is what I mainly do. My driving range at the club is 500 yards away from our pro shop. So I do teach up here in the winter at a place called Petoskey Golf Center, where we have the launch monitors and things. But I find most people just, hey, give me one or two things, not 20 pieces of information. which I really enjoy the launch monitor, but I'm finding, maybe my specialty is here's the one thing that you could do in your backswing and the one thing on the way down. Let's start there. Get that far. If you come back for another lesson, we'll progress.
Well, yeah, for the amateur golfer, I mean, kind of how do you digest, well, I guess depending on what, your skill level and, it's fun to be on those, track bands and other like brands, but it's like, well, what do I do with that though? I mean,
Right.
do you get a lot of that?
Yeah, you have to have a certain level and, a certain personality where you want to digest all that. And that's not for everybody, but it is, I like it, but I'm finding maybe my average lesson doesn't necessarily call for that. I use it all winter up here. We have snow we have like 5 months of winter, it seems. So I get a little tired of hitting into the simulator wall, but we have a great place called Petoskey Golf Center. They have all the latest, you can play St. Andrews or Augusta. It's kind of fun.
That's cool.
If it weren't for that, I don't know what I'd do up here in the winter. I miss Naples, Florida, for that reason.
Yeah. So you're once everything kind of closes down outside, then you move inside for the next 5 or 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a daughter that just got a good job in Phoenix as a PA. We're proud of her, and I love Florida because I go down there a lot for the PGA show and for our meetings at our club. A lot of our board of directors are from both coasts, but I've been going to Phoenix quite a bit the last 3 years because she's also gone to grad school there, and we have members out there as well. So that's kind of been a lot of fun for me. My brother's in Colorado Springs. That's kind of close. An easier puddle jump from Colorado Springs to Phoenix. So
yeah, for sure.
I hope to hang out in Phoenix quite a bit more these next few winters.
Yeah. What do you play out there?
I just get invited at different places so far. I've played Paradise Valley, Desert Mountain, True North, Papago, the new Arizona State place. I played the old Arizona State place, Arrowhead. They have so many nice courses. Seems like I can never get to them all. I want to play the stadium course.
Yeah. You've never played it?
Not yet.
No, I hadn't played that one either. I played the other side. I forget what they call the other. So they've got 36 there. So I played the non-stadium course.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That side. Yeah. So we were on with, I don't know if you know Scott Watkins at all.
Scott Watkins.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's a top 100 teacher, but he's at Papago. So
that's probably where I think I have heard of him.
Yeah, so we had him on a few weeks ago. Yeah, real fun fellow to chat with. Yeah, you ought to check him out if you're out there. Yeah, you ever play? My uncle's a member out at Silver Spring up in Scottsdale. So that's a fantastic track, man. If we can ever get out there at the same time, that'd be a great place to go and get onto. Yeah,
well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's at DC Ranch. So yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I love the whole area out there. It's interesting. I love Florida, but it's neat to. My wife and I like to get up and climb those. I've climbed Camelback and Squaw Peak.
Yeah, sure.
Tom Thumb and some of those places. So
okay, so Tom Thumb. So from the back nine, several holes on the back nine. That's where Silverleaf is at. You get a good view of Tom Thumb right there. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, I hear. I'm not saying that you're retiring. I'm not putting words into your mouth, but I'm hearing maybe some future planning coming up out there.
Well, my plan is to go a good 4 more years running everything.
Yeah.
I have a very good assistant, Jason George, that, I do all the buying, and he's slowly, like, if we have men's day, he can enter the scorecards into the system and do the pairings and the scorecard. Because I shouldn't say I am caught on the lesson tee. I'm delighted to be on the lesson tee most of the day. That's been 31 straight years of very busy. So I'm fortunate to have good help that can kind of keep an eye on the place while I'm instructing so much.
Doing what you like to do, right?
That's definitely my favorite. I do enjoy, buying different brands of shirts. And I had a record year. I'm a Callaway pro staff guy for 20 years. And I've had a banner year with selling golf clubs. It's just been a lot of fun this year in the end when I was so afraid the first 3 weeks of barely scraping by.
Right. Yeah, well, a lot of people wound up in the same boat. And then, again, I mean, like down here, golf is going to it has exploded. And, it's like, if you don't book a tee time a week and a half out, you're getting, you're playing like real late in the day, man. Everything is just packed.
That's what we hear all over the country. It's golf is having a great year, which I'm tickled about. So,
yeah, I'm sure.
So at your club, I was doing some research on it. Now, is Tom Watson, is he still a member there?
He's an honorary member.
An honorary member.
Back in the day, his family had a place, and they good golfers. His dad was a very good golfer who I have played with quite a bit before he passed away several years ago. And Tom would come up every year through 2004. So from 1990 through 2004, we always knew in August, never knew when. He just walked in the golf shop, and there's Tom Watson. And when my dad was the pro there, Tom was a junior golfer, and my dad would take him to different junior tournaments, and he developed a nice relationship with my dad, and Tom's dad developed a fun relationship with my dad and my brothers and I, where we would play some area courses, and he was hard to beat, He had a low fiery draw, and he'd let you know too. He's a heck of a competitor. So you see where Tom gets it. But Tom won the club championship in 1964. I still have the trophy on the golf shop wall. And the year before, in 1963, Ray Watson, his dad, won it. But Tom beat Ray in sudden death in 1964. And so it's fun. We have a men's invitational we call the Watson Cup after Tom, and he's always written welcoming letters to the event for 12 straight years, and congratulatory letters to the winners. And this year, because we had to cancel it because of COVID, I asked him to write a letter to our club champion, who was thrilled to have his name on the same men's club championship wall as Tom Watson. And Tom, being the class guy that he is, it wasn't a week later, I had a nice letter from Tom to hand to my member, Dr. Ben Main III. So he was thrilled to have that. So yeah, it's a neat history with Tom Watson.
That's fun. That's really fun. That's cool. Very cool. Yeah,
he's a living legend for sure, and such a, gosh, to have him writing personal things every year, welcoming guys to our men's invitational. That's just awesome. So I got to ask him for at least 4 more years.
Well, to be that competitive, but have that kind of ethics, or whatnot, to be able to send the letters and stay in touch and do. I mean, it's just the type of guy you'd want to be have involved or whatnot. It just shows a class act he is, right?
Well, there's a personability about an individual that you just can't. I don't know if it. Is it learned or is it given or is it taught? That kind of thing. And it just that's something that's pretty.
Yeah, my dad used to say when he was a kid, he'd say, don't pound your first putt so aggressively, because you'll hit it 6 to 10 feet by the cup. And Tom would say, "Oh, those are easy." He just had that. He had that confidence from way back. So
nice.
Yeah.
Ton of work, probably a ton of training and work ethic and all that kind of stuff too, right?
Well, I remember when my dad was pro there, after I grew up in Harbor Springs, Dad kind of retired and was kind of the teaching pro at Walloon. And when Tom was beating the world, what was it, mid 70s to late 70s, right around that time, we would get to work early, and Tom was already there. And I remember my brothers and I would go down to the range, and I remember the worst lies out of holes and divots. So he's tagging 3 irons. He'd say, "Boys, I'm going to hit 10 draws and 10 fades. I want you to go out there and pick them up." And it was the easiest little tightest circle I've ever picked up, But we would look just with our mouth hanging open, like, look at the crappy lie. He doesn't practice off good lies. I'll tell you. I mean, he went, they hit down on the ball and compress it. But boy, that really jumped out at me. I never dreamt that he would practice on such a bad lie all day. Mm-hmm. That must have made the good lies seem easy, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Cal, you and I were at the PGA Quail Hollow practice round on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We saw Adam Scott was doing the same thing. You know, he had some pretty crappy shots he was hitting, and people were saying, "Are you going to play it?" And he's going to come outside the ropes to play in the practice round. And it's just they love doing that stuff to make sure that they're doing all the shots they might need to play when they're getting when the thing's running, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I often wonder that when I see them in a bad situation. I think, you know what? I bet they put in their time with this, and they always seem to do a pretty good job.
Did you see, DJs talk about recent guys here in terms of the PGA on Sunday? I get the days on this.
Monday.
No, Sunday. On Sunday, DJ was out like until like 7:15 on the range at Eastlake hitting balls because he was practicing something in his game or whatnot. He really wanted to win last weekend, and to see a guy that's ahead by that many strokes and being out there the longest by himself, just practicing that game, shows that dedication. We had Chad Parker on a couple of weeks ago from Eastlake talking about Tiger, and he was doing putts, right, Cal? He was doing putt. When he won at Eastlake, not too long ago, he was one of the latest guys out there doing putts, on Saturday. That time was Saturday night.
And I should say,
yeah,
exactly like Tom. Not only was he the first one there, he was the last one, and we put in long days because in Michigan up here it stays light until 10.
Oh yeah, sure.
He was there last too. He would go home, maybe eat, come back, but looking back, you can see how he was the best in the world. But I remember he came back in like 2000, and I was out there, and I went up to his bag and I said, he was a Ram golf. I don't know if you remember, he represented Ram. Now he's Callaway. And then he went to, what's that other company? They're not around. Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Golf.
Oh, yeah.
After he left Ram. But I said, Tom, if I'm not mistaken, these are the same clubs when I was a little boy, that were peppered in the middle. And I said, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. And he laughed and he said, you're right. He said, I have a new hybrid and a new Founders Club. I don't know if you remember that driver, but he said, otherwise, those are the clubs that I had here in the late 70s. I'm like, wow. Gosh, I never would have, you who could get new clubs
anytime you want them. Yeah.
I said, I never dreamt that I'd be looking at the same. And right after that, I noticed he did have a new set every year. Mm-hmm. But gosh, he went a 25 year period where he's banging those same clubs.
Unbelievable.
So it's kind of neat. It reminded me when I was a younger pro in Hole in the Wall, Naples. Gene Sarazen often played there. He lived down in just south of Naples. What do you call that area? I'm drawing a blank. Island.
Saint Esteban.
I'll think of it.
We'll think of it later.
Yeah, darn.
Sanibel. What about Sanibel Island?
It wasn't Sanibel. Just south of Naples.
Fort Myers?
No, that's north. Oh shoot! But anyway, it's not too far to Naples, and he would come up and play with our members. And Gene Sarazen, he'd come up with his knickers, but I remember looking at his old clubs, and he's reminded me of Tom. He had these old things, and he wore them. You could see the round circle in the middle of all the irons. I'm like, he was an older man by then, but gosh, you could get clubs anytime you want. But they stuck with what they knew.
Well, I mean, it's kind of old habits, It's like you can't really go changing things around if that's what's working. So
yeah, I guess.
Marco Island.
Marco Island. There you go.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'd get there eventually. Yeah. Since I had that map pulled up, so you're close to. You're like a pitching wedge from the Canadian border up there.
Well, we're about 30 miles from the Mackinac Bridge, which connects the two peninsulas of Michigan. Connects Lake Huron on the east with Lake Michigan on the west. And it's about 60 miles north to Sault Ste. Marie. There's Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. You cross the St. Mary's River, you're in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada.
Right.
So not too far away at all. You often see Canadian pennies and things get mixed in your change.
Oh, yeah, sure. What's so for folks that are listening, so you're at a private club, obviously, so nobody would, they could obviously join. But do you give lessons to non-members there, or is it members only?
Yeah, occasionally, mainly members and their guests.
Okay.
I try to help out some of the area some of the all-star area kids from we call it the tip of the mitt.
Gotcha.
Anywhere from Sheboygan to Mackinac City, where the Mackinac Bridge is, Petoskey's, Boyne City. I help the kids out whenever I can, and I've helped quite a few kids land college scholarships playing for college. So it's been really nice to see some of the people that don't have a lot of wealth still can excel at this game and get scholarships and enjoy a college career.
Yeah, you got a few Coach of the Year under the belt, huh?
Oddly enough, my boys team is 3 top 10s in the state, 2 regional runner-up, 2 district runner-up, which I'm proud of. But the girls, 2 state championships, 2 state runner-ups, 6 regionals. I won the conference every year. When I took the job, I guess I was biased, like, okay, I'll do the girls too.
Right.
But I've had girls at Kent State, and one of my members that I taught was the number 1 at the University of Dayton. And there's little colleges. It's just been a lot of fun seeing these, getting girls into the game as well as boys, and then having them succeed at a college level. It's been a lot of fun.
Very cool.
I have one girl that was hired by the South Florida PGA. She played for Kent State, Ellen Breitner. And she runs like the junior program for the South Florida PGA, where she visits. She'll go to Naples, to Palm Beach, and around that area.
Sure. And
rumor had it that Tiger Woods' son was going to be in one of her programs, so it's kind of exciting
That's fun
to see her tree, So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one little dose of that guy, man, and that's you're off to the races. So.
Right.
So what's I don't know. I'm assuming you watch some golf, right? Did you watch any?
I try to watch it mainly. I only take Sunday afternoons off, so I try to. It's my favorite time to. I watch the FedEx Cup lately and watch what I can. I don't watch enough of it, but I'm pretty busy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I understood. What do you think about DJ pulling that off, man? I mean, quite a stretch of golf for him coming through this thing, huh?
It was awesome. I saw it getting a little tight when I came home. It went down to a 2 or a 3 shot lead.
Yeah.
But then he took off again, and good for him. I mean, like you say, he spent all those hours pounding balls. He's earning it.
Yeah, he's definitely showing us something that, I was talking to Cal, and we saw this type of run develop before he slipped on the stairs and going into that major. I think it was the Masters, and then kind of wasn't able to kind of bounce back from that. And of course, he keeps winning on tour or whatnot, and he's got an insane amount of wins for on tour based off what else is out there. But this run he's on, I mean, it seems like he's hit another gear, and if he can stay away from the stairs, who knows what's going to happen?
I think people forget about the stairs too. Yeah. Just like Tiger, what would have happened if you weren't injured at that time? It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got the new kids, and I just think maybe he wants to bring home more trophies to the kids or something. I don't know. Maybe Gretzky got a hold of him and said, "Hey, you're really good. You deserve to do better." I don't know. Something happened and it's kicked him. Maybe Brooks PO'd him, and now he's like, "Hey, I'm going to show you, kid." That kind of thing. So I don't know.
Still seems to have the drive. That's for sure.
And he's young. He's tall. He's got the build for it, and man, it's just it's a sweet swing for sure.
Yeah.
So do you see any problems with his swing in terms of how long do you feel like that can go?
I'm used to hey, if it works, I don't correct something just because it looks different. To me, it's all about ball flight and yardage. And if you're getting it, I've seen some ladies, especially that looked very closed at the top of the swing, but they'll hit it straight as an arrow. That means their wrists just don't, release. So I let it stay closed at the top. So I try to, let the ball flight kind of guide me. And he has a little bit different, look at the top for sure. Yeah. But I understand it and how he holds it through the hitting zone. And, if you didn't know better, you'd think, gosh, he's going to hook it based on the kind of a closed look at the top of the swing. But everybody knows how well he holds his wrist through impact. And
yeah. So if you look at the top 3 guys right now, you got DJ, you got Rom, and you got JT. And Rom's the youngest. He's like 25, 26.
Yeah, he's young.
JT's 27. DJ's like 36. And, you know, Rom's the youngest. DJ, I would say he's probably made the most gains in terms of his putting over the last, you know, say 5 years. JT is struggling, I think, the most out of all three of those guys on the putter. Do you think he could – are there drills in practice, or is that something that he'll never be able to close the gap on in terms of, like, his putting? Would you then, like, from a JT perspective, can he close the gap, and can he become one of the top 10 putters out there on tour?
I think so. I mean, I believe to spend more time on the putting green. I know from my practices winning state championships, so we would never – I have these things that you have to do, you know, 10 in a row here. We have a triangle where you have a 25-foot two putt, then reverse it. So whatever was uphill is downhill. You know, the alignment sticks. But I heard that Butch Harmon really helped Dustin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And so I think I think if a guy really wants it, looking at some of these they're rehashing a lot of these old tournaments now, and so many of them are won with great putts.
Yes.
I don't know if you really can spend enough time in the putting green and learning. So I definitely have that as part of my, you know, I tell people we didn't build these we have a huge putting green by the first tee, a couple short game areas, and use them, you know.
Don't spend all your time on the range, right?
Right. And that's still most people like to hit their driver and crush their 3-wood, which is great, but I wish they'd wear out the short game areas.
Yeah.
Yep. Back to you, Cal. You got anything? I didn't want to take up all of his time with PGA Tour recent form.
Yeah, a couple things. So where do you like to? So you mentioned St. Andrews and Augusta earlier. I don't know if you played those or not, but
I played St. Andrews. I went over with my daughter, who was an all-stater for Petoskey. She's a senior at Michigan State right now, but not playing golf. But she was a great high school player, and I really enjoyed playing with my daughter over there. St. Andrews is special, you know. It's and I played the Jubilee course over there as well. I haven't played Augusta. I'd love to.
Yeah, I haven't played either. Augusta's probably farther out in the list. You can pay enough money and get on St. Andrews. So I think we're heading over next year. We've got a trip. What else did you play while you were over there?
That's all. I didn't. It was kind of a family trip that I made sure I snuck in some golf on. So,
yeah, sure. Gotcha.
But we had back at Hole in the Wall and right here in Harbor Springs at Weequahic. I don't know if you remember Horde Hardin.
Yeah, sure.
He would pass out the green jacket as chairman of Augusta. Well, he was a member at Hole in the Wall Golf Club in Naples, and as well as Weequahic up here where I caddied. So he got a kick when I got the job down there. We talked about Weequahic, and a lot of our members would always go up to Augusta and play. He never invited me as a young guy, but that's close as I got.
Yeah.
Nice.
But do you have any favorite courses in the U.S.? I mean, it could be your own, but I don't. Any you got a top three or?
Well, I really liked Troon North and what is it, North Scottsdale? I love that. Belvedere here in Charlevoix, Michigan, is a neat play. I know Tom Watson loves Belvedere as well, and I enjoy. My brother was the head pro at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, and I enjoy those courses a lot. I really don't have – I just like playing golf. I don't care if it's a favorite. It's hard for me to – Birchwood here is really – there's so many nice courses around, even right around my general area. We're kind of known as the golf capital of the Midwest. There's more golf courses per capita in this northwest tip of Michigan.
Well, you've referenced several individuals and several stints from your area down to Naples, so I'm getting the connection there, right? So
yeah, and then it branches out with my brother to Colorado Springs, and it. I mean, my other brother worked in California, so I mean, I'm pretty. When I was out at Pebble Beach, I injured my shoulder, so I had to walk pebble in Cypress. That really hurt. And I never did get back to play it. That was a bummer. But those look like they could have been maybe one of my favorites. But honestly, I didn't play them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to hit those up either. What about, so for folks that may be in the area, I know it's been, just traveling up there. It's been a little rough this 2020, but any good restaurants around town? You got any diamonds in the rough that people ought to hit up?
Well, the pier in Harbor Springs is always a hit. The triangle, we call it the Bar Harbor in Harbor Springs, the pier, and the New Yorker. They're a little triangle right there. There's, what else is there, Linda, in Harbor Springs that we like? I always Paper Station on Main Street in Harbor Springs.
He's phoning a friend.
Phone a friend.
Teddy Griffin's in Harbor Springs, out by Boyne Highlands. And Boyne Highlands itself, what a great resort and place to play.
So, and is your golf course that you're at? So at Walloon Lake, I mean, it's Walloon Lake. So is that the majority of the holes on the lake, or?
No, you can see the lake from many of the holes. Back in the day, they had holes on the lake. We're a 1904 club. During the war, they sold the holes on the lake as lots and went to a 9-hole in the 30s or 1940 until 1990, where they owned property a little bit east all the way to the highway away from Walloon Lake. Gotcha. Went back to 18 when I came back in 1990. That's why I came back. I knew they were
they were
getting bigger, and it was going to grow into something special. So
give
most people.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Pete.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no. I was gonna say, give Cal. He's going to the old course next year. He needs a tip. Give him a tip. Give him something. Something.
Well, I can tell you this: there's 8 shared greens, and they're huge. So if you hit a green, it doesn't mean you're going to 2-putt.
Make sure I know which flag I'm going to.
We had like a shared caddy, and he was talking to Grace, my daughter. So I hit the best shot I hit at the wrong pin. So I took my roving mulligan, didn't hit as good a shot with the correct pin, but that's how you might know, stuck it all over it, and it would have been a 2-inch tap in, but of course. I would say watch and they have the yardages, I think, marked to the front of the green.
Okay.
Which I wasn't listening very well at first, so first hole I crushed a drive, and I thought I don't know, jet lag or whatever, but I hit a beautiful sand wedge right in the middle of the swill can. Oh, wow. Burn. The little creek.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So my daughter had a better score in the first hole than I did, but watch the correct pins on the 8 shared greens, and make sure your yardages are, if you're going over there to play.
Nice.
Yeah. What month were you there? Do you recall?
I was there early August, early April.
Okay.
One of the first allowed, the winter they make you play on the mat, so I didn't want to do that.
Right.
So I was out the first week that they opened. It was really in good shape. We played in the high 50s to low 60s, the two, between Jubilee and the old course.
It's like heaven. That, I mean, give me like high 50s, low 60s, and no rain. It's like, what more could you ask for?
And you got to go to the Jigger Inn.
There you go.
There. The Jigger Inn. Right there. It's hooked right onto the place.
All right.
There.
Good food, good beer.
Did you go for the Guinness, or?
I mean, you go down the road and there's old Tom Morris's shop. You go a little further, there's a graveyard. And I was fascinated. Like, his son won the Open 3 times or 4 times and died at 25. Wow. I mean,
wow.
Young Tom Morris.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
I learned a lot. Walking around St. Andrews is, you want to make sure you do that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'll make note of that for sure.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Was the food good?
Yeah, at the Jigger Inn, I remember that. And at the inn itself where I stayed, if you stay, they name all the rooms after past champions. I think we were in the Walter Hagen room.
Oh, nice.
And I looked and I took a picture. There's Tom Watson, of course.
Oh, yeah.
It's neat how they have all the rooms named after past champions. It's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, sweet.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Well, we don't want to keep you too long. I know it's kind of getting late in the day. You've been a bit out in the somewhat chilly, but well, I guess it's comfortable for you up there. Maybe a little rain though, but
yeah, we get our blood thick again. But it is kind of chilly right now. We had kind of a hot summer, and but it's a nice little break, I guess.
So we always like to a couple questions. I'll ask mine, and there's no correct answers, but there is an answer. It doesn't have to be. It could be neither. But are you a G&T guy or a V&T guy? Gin and tonic or vodka and tonic?
Vodka and tonic.
Okay, all right, vodka tonic, and then Dan always likes to close with one as well.
I don't know remind me what I'm going to.
Oh yeah. So do you drink coffee?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do.
How do you take your coffee?
Right here we have a nice new machine that grounds the beans. So I drink that black, but I also like to go to Starbucks and get my raspberry mocha with almond milk.
Raspberry mocha.
Raspberry mocha with almond milk. All right.
And whipped cream. Yes, that's my.
And whipped cream. Is that a daily stop for you?
I do the almond milk to trim the calories, but I can't resist the whipped cream.
Put the whipped cream to add them back, right?
That's not too bad. I think Tiger said he was a hazelnut latte guy or something.
Yeah, I'm not picky, but raspberry's my favorite. Raspberry milk.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, Pete, I don't know if we opened up with this. I think I mentioned your Instagram page, but you want to tell folks where they can find you?
It's Pete Kelbel Golf on Instagram or Twitter.
Nice.
It's Kelbel, like Kelbel.
Kelbel. And once
it's all golf. It's pretty 99% golf. I'm a little I went to Michigan State. I got some Spartan blood in me, so once in a while, like if they win the Big Ten or something like that, I can't help myself. But that's about 1 in 100.
Well, I don't think you'll be posting anything about the Big Ten this season.
It doesn't look good.
No.
Yeah, I think they were one that said I think the Big Ten, Pac-12, a couple of the other conferences, they said they were going to hold out. So yeah, what a shame. But if it's the right and responsible thing for them to do, then so be it. But so I guess for everybody listening, be on the lookout. We'll be sure to drop some Pete Kelbel teasers for you, and we'll get the pod up and running in a week or so, and we'll be good to go. And Pete, I appreciate it. I know Dan does.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate this. That was a lot of fun. Thank you guys very much.
Great. Yeah, when
you're ever up here, you look me up. Somebody will find me.
Well, I was about to say once our travel restrictions line up, I'm looking forward to when you've got some time to a round at Walloon Lake Country Club, man. Let's get out and do it.
You are welcome anytime.
Yeah. All right, Pete. Well, thanks, man. We really appreciate it, bud. Yeah.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Cal, Dan. Take care.